appreciate you taking part in not only this, but also in the mural that we created across the street from the museum. And so here for folks to see is one of the walls at the museum with 33 protest jackets, one of those being this gentleman right here, Black Brain. And I'm at our office, and he is at the reception of the museum. So I appreciate you coming down. And so your particular jacket is this one.
Ah, yeah.
Can you break down what you're communicating here? And I mean, I see there's a lot of messaging here. You have vote, stand, pray, and lots of imagery. What is it that you wanted to share and express with this piece?
One of the things that was really cool with working on the American history mural is just realizing the depth and the vastness of how protests and growth and movement is expressed, and just really wanted to see or express as concisely as possible a holistic approach to protesting. You know, because a lot of these people that we celebrate now, you know, they dedicated their life to it, and just realizing that it is a lifestyle. It's not just a moment. So if I go through and I mean, I'll try to keep it concise. You know, is we can vote in, like the right to vote gives us the ability to approve or to buy into an ethos. And we can do it in several ways. We can vote in people that we believe have our ethos or share our ethos or most of our ethos, and they're going to push it forward. We can vote for policy that we think is in our ethos. But the one that we don't really consider a lot is that we can also vote by that monetary note when we purchase things, because you best believe large corporations have professional protesters that are called lobbyists, that are, you know, that are working on their behalf to get policies and back people that have similar ethos.
And in that vote, you place that strategically above an image of Trump, right? And you know,
yeah.
And so you get this man.
How are we here? We're like, you know, we voted him in, you know.
But then you mash him up with this guy.
Yeah. So that mashup, because I do a lot of political mashups, and that mashup happened in 2016 before, when he was just a candidate, you know. And then like I had the whole series. It was like Obama, him, Hillary, and Bernie, and I did this whole like DC superhero mashup with and I thought it was just funny, but then it got real, you know, and it was just like so now that we're at the eve of his first candidacy, I thought it was appropriate to bookmark it with, like, you know, the piece that happened before his presidency. And, you know, it's like, are we going to get 4 more years of the joke, or, you know, are we moving to something else?
And then you also have some other historic moments. You have people pulling down what looks like a statue.
Yeah.
Which is, it's happening right now.
It's happening right now. And so for Stan, you know, it's like, one of the, you know, it's like with Vote, we're pushing our ethos forward, but when we stand, we're actually standing for those that are impoverished, for those that are destitute, for those that don't have a voice. And at the end of the day, I can't recall who said it, because there's so many beautiful quotes, even like the American history. mural, but it was like if one of us is not free, then none of us are free. So like that's the actual act of placing ourselves um, in the line of fire, if you will, and right, like with everything going down right now, there's so many things. There's like, hey, these are icons of tyranny that are getting pulled down, and we already saw like one example where it was replaced with hope and a future. Uh, so I thought it was appropriate to show that, hey, like it's fine to push our values, but we also have to be willing to bleed for what we believe in. Otherwise, it's lofty, um, a lofty thought or a pretentious idea, and you know you're not really you're not you don't have skin in the game, if you will.
Sure. And so this comes on the heel, you mentioned, of painting the American history mural across the museum. And this is you, uh, at work painting this mural, and sort of diving into some of the subject matter and history of protest, but also history of resistance from all sides. What did you what did you learn, or what was it like for you to contribute to this piece?
Well, it's really interesting because like 3 weeks prior is when like a lot of the protests started happening. George Floyd, Breonna, it's like it got super heavy, and for me, like the political art gets really heavy, and it's one of those things that it's almost more like a duty. Like you can ask my wife, like I have to put that hat on back on. Like it was like it's heavy, it's like it's not light, and I want to bring humor and light to it, but it's heavy, it's dark. We're talking about innocent people being killed, and making art through that. So I already like put that hat back on, and I already started creating content really more as an art journalistic perspective, and not trying to put my own uh, uh, opinion on it. It was just more like, hey, this is what's happening. This is the youth today. These are the events taking place, and kind of taking a neutral journalistic perspective. And then the opportunity to help with the mural came about, and it was really refreshing because it really let it be about the beauty and the strength of these martyrs that lent their voice and put amazing words and actions into play. That when we look at it historically, we can start from the Magna Carta, right? Like 1215, like it created the democratic system in Europe. To now, like we can jump through history books in 500 years, like a blip, but you have to realize, now when you actually put numbers into the game, you're like, wow, that was 6-7 generations of people to like get to the progress that we're in now. And just realizing that this is a long
It's
battle.
it's a long battle. It's a long history. And there's many subjects that we talked upon and touched upon in the mural that you ended up painting, or that that were part of the research and the history that we looked at, like this image here,
Yeah.
Of Rodney King, which is one of the images that you tackled and painted.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I think that your contribution and your perspective is really interesting, because one of the things that was happening in this mural is this sort of exchange of ideas, and then also, how do you tell the story? How do you go and not be so heavy-handed, perhaps?
Yeah.
And so can you tell me a little bit about tackling this particular letter and sort of the Rodney King story?
Yeah, Rodney's interesting because that, like, a lot of people would point to his case as the one of the big catalysts for the LA riots. There was two other ones, um, But for me, I think the most interesting thing about that piece specifically was that, you know, we got to portray him in like the nicest light possible, you know, where it's like you're at the court, you know, he has his jerry curls, you know, he's like,
Right. He's here.
he's nice, you know what I mean? Versus some of the other, you know, candidates that was like just in like the darker light, if you will. But with that, you know, it was also, you know, like really trying to capture his emotion of, there's like this soft defiance, you know, where there's hope, but there's also confusion, and the I think it was one of the other artists, Kale, like he really like helped with like how to balance that out with the background. And I think that some of um, the stoic faces in the background is what really helped push, you know, him forward and almost make him feel like he's lit, you know, like in, you know, like cinematic lighting, where like this is our underground, this is our hero, or this is our protagonist, you know.
Sure. I mean, I think, you know, that comes through. And I think what's wonderful about the story within this letter and Rodney's story that you're sharing is the jury and the use of the jury as a device, and commentary in the history of this man and in the history of the LA riots, because the riots didn't happen when he was brutalized. The riots happened when the police officers were found not guilty. And so here we have a history going back to 1990, and then I guess 1992 when the verdict came out, and we have cops exonerated and people getting fed up, and that was a spark. But here you have the jury depicted as blindfolded and not seeing perhaps the truth behind the brutality of the police.
Well, it's a play on the justice is blind, you know, because like justice is blind to be equal, but in this case, you know, is that the justice was blind to see the truth, you know. So yeah, it's a really ironic play on what justice is blind is meant to be and how it actualizes in our system.
Yes. And then I just wanted to show one more piece, just so that, you know, people get an understanding of your work and how you are doing work that is political in your, you know, on your own, unrelated to the show in the museum and unrelated to the mural. And I thought this was a very interesting piece.
Yeah, that one was the one that started it all, like the art journalistic side of my artwork. And for this one, is like I'm at first it was supposed to just be a play on words, Malcolm X-Men. You know, it's like, haha, that's funny. I was just gonna have like Malcolm X, this, you know, Cyclops visor. But in this time, this is when, you know, we had Trayvon, we had Brown. You see them back there. We had Rice, and so I took like this iconic Days of Future Past cover from the X-Men, and I converted it and I replaced the X-Men with our civil rights leaders. And in this case, we have Martin Luther King as Wolverine, and you know, I called him the Dream Marine. And so for like a lot of people were like, why do you put, you know, like the peaceful guy with like the most violent character in the X-Men universe or whatever? And one of the things that's really interesting is that if you listen to like the things Dr. King says, you know, he's inciting a lot through his words, and I wouldn't categorize this on as peaceful, I would categorize as a non-violent, but I don't think it was peaceful. You know, like it was inciting action. Action is seldom, you know, seen as peaceful. But this one was really interesting because of, you know, just looking at the victims behind them, the dreamers that you know, I would say like passed before their time, um, and you know, being able to see just how many of our dreamers were slain, you know, like killed.
Very,
You know,
very, very powerful, man, and very and current. You know,
yeah, still current. Like I could keep changing that back of that poster.
sure. So Ariel, I wanted to thank you, man, for participating in this exhibition, for working so hard to deliver such a wonderful and important mural in Miami and in Wynwood during, you know, COVID, during the protests, and really coming out at night in the heat, in the morning in the rain, with mosquitoes, just really putting it down for the movement, and to show that you're down with sharing, you know, sharing this moment in protest and contributing to it. So thank you very much. Thank you for coming down to the museum today, and for being part of the museum's family, and showing us a lot of love and support. We really appreciate you and the work that you do. For folks that are joining us, I'm with BLACKBRAIN, who's contributed to Fabric of America Artisan Protests at the Museum of Graffiti. We are open today. We are open now. You can see us in person. You could see us online, virtual. If you go to our website, museumofgraffiti.com, you'll see a virtual exhibition. You'll see his work and everybody else's work. And today we're going to be talking to artists all day. And so I've got a tall mug of coffee. I've got my sandwich made so I don't have to leave my desk. And I appreciate everybody listening and everybody tuning in throughout the day. Next up, we have View 2. And so in about 4 minutes, we'll be back on live with the homie. And I appreciate you guys. So tune in, check out our website. The works in the museum for this show, Fabric of America, are available for collectors. And so you guys, if you're interested, you can check out the website, and there's more information on that as well. And we, again, thank you everybody for support. I see you faves out there. Thanks so much, Ariel. We'll talk soon. And guys, I'll see you guys in a minute. Thank you.